Welcome, everybody, to the Week 10 Week in Review, where we go over all the scores and everything to that effect. And now we take a look at these things as we take a look at the Week in Review. And let's take a look at the scores right now from Week 10. Texas State beat Louisiana 59-13. They go to 9-1. Sam Houston over Tech. New Mexico State over FIU. FIU could be in the toilet bowl. Charlotte beat Tulane. Penn State beat BC. Cal over Washington State. They're 7-1, might be ranked. Bowling Green beats Eastern Michigan. Wake Forest over East Carolina. Miami over Troy. Purdue big over Northwestern. Western Michigan over Ohio. And the game you just watched, Arkansas big over Ole Miss. Baylor way over TCU. TCU no defense. Air Force beats Army in the President's Trophy. Michigan way over Fresno State. Pitt over SMU. A big game there. Virginia Tech over Syracuse. Southern over Alabama. South Alabama. Buffalo their first win of the year over Akron. Minnesota losing to Illinois, and that's huge there. Tex Ags 75, you're back. Good to see you. Notre Dame barely beat Ball State. That wasn't a fun one. Alabama over FAU. Colorado blew out BYU. Rutgers over Temple. Iowa State over Mississippi State. UCF over UAB. Central Michigan over Cincinnati. Missouri blows out Arkansas State. LSU 80-10 over Southern Miss. USF 51-30, Colorado State over Nevada. New Mexico over Wyoming. Georgia blows out Florida. Maybe their ranking goes up. South Carolina over Old Dominion. UTSA over Kennesaw could be a toilet bowl. Iowa over Wisconsin. Tennessee over Kentucky. Clemson over Louisville. North Carolina loses to Florida State. Florida State big, looking for a playoff spot. Arizona State beat Oklahoma State. Middle Tennessee, a big win. Marshall over Monroe. Monroe could be a toilet bowl team. UMass beat Liberty. They're 7-1. They might be ranked. UNLV over UConn. Rice over Navy. Arizona over San Jose State. Texas over North Texas. Utah State over Toledo. Jacksonville State over Georgia State. Texas Tech over West Virginia. Coastal Carolina upset Virginia. Hawaii blows out Kent. Indiana beats Michigan State. Indiana might get ranked. You never know. Nebraska blows out UCLA. UCLA passed for almost 90 times in that game. Boise State over San Diego State. USC over Washington. A big, big upset as Washington goes down, so their playoff rankings will move down. Kansas State over Houston, and Maryland over James Madison. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move it to the next week. Here we go, and into the next week. This is going to be number 11. Number 11 now. We don't care about anything like this. And number 11, and there it is. So now we go to the rankings. The top 25, here it is. First, the media. In the media top 25, Missouri is number 1, Alabama is 2, Ohio State is 3. Arkansas is now 4th. Wow! Wow, did they move up? Whoa! And Michigan is 5, LSU is 6th, Oregon is 7th. Clemson is now 8, Texas 9. Ole Miss is 10, Texas A&M is 11, Notre Dame 12, they move up, Tennessee 13th. Miami is 14th, Oklahoma moves up, they play at Missouri. Wow, that'll be a big game. Florida State at Notre Dame. We got a lot of big ones today. Kansas, Colorado, Georgia at Ole Miss. Another very big game, Pitt versus Virginia. Georgia Tech against Miami. Oh, Miami, that's big. Washington versus Penn State. Well, Penn State is 24th. Texas State moves up. They beat Louisiana. They got Monroe this week. Kentucky, look at this. They move all the way down. They barely lost at Tennessee. Penn State now, 48-30. They won. They move up, and Pitt is now 19th. Cal is now ranked. Let's go to the coaches poll. Missouri is 1, Alabama is 2, Arkansas is 3rd. They're 3rd. Arkansas is 3rd. Michigan is 4th. Ohio State is 5th. LSU 6th. Oregon 7th. Texas is 8th. Texas A&M is 9th. Ole Miss is 10th as they move down. They play Georgia. Clemson 11, Notre Dame 12, Tennessee 13, Washington 14, Oklahoma big at 15th, Miami, Kansas. Here's Florida State, Georgia at Ole Miss, and Pitt playing Virginia. Georgia Tech versus Miami, a big game there. Texas State moves up after not being ranked. Colorado moves up to 23rd. Penn State, they're going to play in Eastern League Finals. They play Washington. If they beat Washington, that is huge. Penn State will move up. They're 8-2, and California is there. Look for that Eastern League to be possible spoilers in the playoff rankings. That could be big, the college football playoff. Now here it is. Missouri is 1, Alabama is 2, Ohio State is 3, Michigan is 4, and now Arkansas is 5th. We knew they'd go way up. They got Arkansas State, and they got Missouri and Texas coming up. So LSU is 6th, Oregon is 7th, Texas is 8, Clemson is 9, Texas A&M is now 10th. They move up. Notre Dame 11, Tennessee 12 after a win against Kentucky. Ole Miss moves all the way down. They got to play Georgia, and that's a big game. Florida State, they're 14th. They play Notre Dame 11th. That might be for a playoff spot. 15th is Kansas. Here's Miami and Georgia Tech, 16 and 19. Now you got Oklahoma and Missouri. They're 17th. Oklahoma can move up. Washington at Penn State unranked there. Georgia Tech is now 19th. Georgia is 20th. Texas State moves up to 21st. They're 9-1. Remember, they beat Texas and Texas A&M. USC is unranked in the playoffs. Are 5-3, but they beat Washington. They play Stanford. Pitt will play Virginia at 8-1. Here's Kentucky, 24th, and Cal will play Boise State. They're 25th. Looking at the rankings right now, how they would be the playoff bracket. As they stand, Alabama's 1, Michigan 2, LSU 3, Oregon 4. And you take a look, Tennessee would play Missouri. Well, they got Tennessee in at the very bottom. They're still in. They would play number 1 Missouri, who for some reason is 5th in the playoffs, even though they're number 1. Clemson would play Texas, and the committee, again, disagreeing with the media, saying, screw you. Clemson playing Texas in that game, but right now, Pitt will play Clemson in the week coming up. And no, they play Virginia, then they play Clemson. So Notre Dame will play, right now they're in playing Ohio State, and Texas A&M is in playing Arkansas. So that's big for Texas A&M. I know the committee saying screw you to everybody. Now Michigan will play Ohio State, so those seedings really favor Michigan, because if Michigan loses, they got some buffer to move down. Again, these are the automatic qualifiers, are the stars. So you got 5 of them. Clemson, Oregon, Alabama, LSU, Michigan. That's saying that they win. That's saying that they win. And your first team will be Missouri. Taking a look right now, the bowl projections. And this is what we have. So right now, the LA Bowl, Virginia Tech and Florida, Colorado and Indiana, the Frisco Bowl, the Fenway Bowl, Penn State, Wisconsin. We got some good matchups. The Myrtle Beach Bowl, Utah State and Georgia Tech, Utah and Ole Miss, the Bahama Bowl, and the Cure Bowl, NC State and BYU. That should be a good one. Minnesota and Florida State. Right now, Florida State is out. Minnesota is 4-6. They project them to go all the way, though. Akron and Liberty in the Las Vegas Bowl. Notre Dame and Ohio State, North Carolina and Colorado State in the Ventures Bowl. The Idaho Bowl, Hawaii and Miami. Old Dominion and Georgia. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I don't think Old Dominion is going to make the Detroit Bowl. Iowa State, New Mexico there, and USF New Mexico State, Toledo and UMass. That's the Gasparilla Bowl, Independence, Kentucky and Miami. Wow, these are going off a little bit. Wyoming and Auburn. Texas State, Western Michigan. In the Texas Bowl, Illinois, BC. Northwestern Nevada, Northern Illinois, and Eastern Michigan in the Liberty Bowl. Oh my God. 1-7 versus 2-6. UNLV and Syracuse. West Virginia and James Madison, Cincinnati. There's Air Force, and there are the four there. Pop-Tarts Bowl. God, some of these are crazy bowl games. Kent State in the bowl game. Bowling Green and Appalachian State. Music City, Oklahoma, Western Kentucky. South Carolina and UCF, Virginia and Kansas. Maryland and Baylor. Maryland is 2-7. And Kansas State. Looking at the conference standings, the ACC, Penn State and Pitt on collision course. For Pitt, just has to beat Virginia, who is not in their division, but they gotta go their 23rd. The American Notre Dame leading their division. They're 11th. They got Indiana, and you'll wonder about that one. The Big 12, first of all, the Big 12, the Miami, it's going to be Michigan and Ohio State anyway there. Big 10, Virginia Tech and Kentucky. And you see Louisville at 5-1, but Virginia Tech and Kentucky, if they play, that'll be for the Appalachian title. This side, LSU and Ole Miss. LSU will play in a championship game. They're going to play against either Missouri or Arkansas, and the winner of that game that's going to be a huge game. Arkansas and Missouri at the end of the year. The one side of the MAC, Clemson is 8-0. They're going to play in the title game. They're going to play against either Tennessee, NC State, or North Carolina. The Florida-Alabama League. Alabama is 8-0. Florida is 7-0. And we got to see Florida State and Miami trying to get in. The old Pac-10 plus some teams. Oregon is doing well. Cal now is 7-1. Oregon will play in the title game against either Cal or against Oregon and Cal, I believe. Washington USC is 22nd. In the one side of the SEC, Texas State will go into the championship. They beat Texas and Texas A&M, so they earned it. On the other side, Oklahoma and Kansas, that'll be big. A win by Texas State, and they might be in the playoffs. The Sun Belt, the Western League, Colorado is 8-1. Utah State and Utah, and BYU is there, but Colorado, Utah State, Utah, Colorado, and Utah probably for the championship there. Taking a look at the players of the week, there it is. Michael Williams, 3 sacks, defensive end. Offense, Monterey Baldwin, 13 receptions, very big. Looking at the Heisman watch, and a very skewed, who beat Texas State was Arkansas State. Arkansas State beat Texas State. So James Pierce Jr. had 1 sack against Kentucky, 3 tackles, 1 sack for Caleb Herring. And Abdul Carter for Penn State And Jalen Milroe for Alabama, he stayed the same against Florida Atlantic. He did what he's supposed to do. And Ruben Bain, looks like a defensive player will win this game. And then you have the award watch list. Player of the year, there you go. On all these teams, head coach of the year for Texas State. Best quarterback, Milroe. Green. Sellers might do it. And Castellanos. Best defensive player, again, Pearson Herring. Defensive back is Jaron Thompson. Best running back, maybe Marcus Carroll of Missouri. We got to see how he goes. Donovan Edwards, of course, Ulysses Bentley, Josh Williams. There's the San Diego State guy. Monterey Baldwin is one of the best for receivers. Lombardi, the defensive lineman, again, your normal people. The Golden Arm Award to best senior quarterback Jordan McLeod and Brady Cook. The best defensive end, easy interior lineman. You got Georgia, Alabama, and USC going at it. Best tight end, Oronde Getz is unfreaking believable. That guy is incredibly good. Very, very good. That's why Texas State is not in, because they lost to Arkansas State. So everybody's looking at Texas State like, really? They might sneak in, though. That Arkansas State might have hurt them. The assistant coach of the year, look at all Texas State. The linebacker, Michael Williams, Georgia and Rutgers. Look at that. They got a few people. The best center, Alabama and USC fighting for that. The kicker, Borgalis and Burnett. Although Burnett missed a couple big ones. The best punter, Mastromano for Florida State. Burnham for Alabama. Best special teams returner, Durham might do it. And Utah State has one. And now we go to the player of the action and the schedules. What about the four biggest games? Look at this. The four biggest games. Oklahoma at Missouri. Huge game. Missouri will be featured as long as they win. They got buffer to lose. Florida State at Notre Dame. Georgia at Ole Miss. That might be an elimination game. And Michigan at Indiana. How good is Michigan? How good are they? How good is Indiana? That's going to be a separation Saturday game. Miami, Ball State, Jacksonville, Liberty, Northern Illinois at Western Michigan, Florida Atlantic at East Carolina, Coastal at App, Georgia State at UConn, Rice at Memphis, Eastern Michigan at Michigan State, North Carolina and Vanderbilt, maybe North Carolina, that might be a trap. SMU, Nebraska, Buffalo and BC, Washington State and Oregon, South Alabama and FIU might be a toilet bowl game. Navy and Air Force, Southern Miss, Kentucky, Texas Tech and Iowa State, Tulsa, UAB, Tennessee and Mississippi State, Texas State at Monroe, might be a toilet bowl game. Ohio State against Purdue, Iowa and Maryland, USC against Stanford, a rivalry game. Illinois and Wisconsin, Arkansas at Arkansas State. How good is Arkansas State? Arkansas State wins, then Texas State is going, oh my God, yeah. Yeah. Look at me. South Carolina and Georgia, Southern Michigan and Indiana. Georgia at Ole Miss. Oh, a big one. Michigan and Indiana. Miami at Georgia Tech. Oh, that's a big game. That's a big game. Miami, 2 quality losses. A win there. Miami could be pushed up. West Virginia and Cincinnati. Temple and Tulane. Colorado and Kansas. The only thing I'm thinking about, that's a big game. Colorado and Kansas. Can Kansas win and push their ranking up? That's going to be huge. Toledo, Colorado State. Boise State, California. We're getting into the fun part of the project. Old Dominion and Louisville, Wake Forest and Charlotte, Auburn and Troy, Baylor and UTSA, Pitt and Virginia. Pitt and Virginia, Kennesaw and UTEP could be a toilet bowl game. New Mexico State and Middle Tennessee, Syracuse and UMass. That's a huge game. UMass, if they were to win, that would be incredible. Make their season. Ohio and Kent. Texas A&M against Sam Houston. Alabama against Western Kentucky. Rutgers against Minnesota. That'll be a good game. That'll be a very good game. Clemson at Virginia Tech. Oh, if Clemson wins, that'll be big. If they lose, that'll be everybody else will be like, hey, we could do it. Army and North Texas. I think people are hoping Army will win a game. Michigan and Bowling Green. Fresno and Arizona. Oklahoma at Missouri. We will have that one. San Jose State, Oregon, NC State, Duke. That'll be a solid one. TCU, Oklahoma State. Florida State at Notre Dame. Big. Washington at Penn State, a big game. Florida at Texas. Florida is unranked. Can Texas, if they win that game, go there, and that'll be big. Wyoming at Arizona State. San Diego State and New Mexico. UNLV and Hawaii playing for Golden Pineapple. And Utah and BYU. That's a huge rivalry. Well, in the West, Utah has to beat BYU. That is the holy war there. That's going to be it for today. Have a great day, and that's Week 10 in review. We look forward to Week 11.